everybody, how's it going? Lord Josh here once again. I'm actually dressed in my weather magic attire because I plan on doing a ceremony in about 45 minutes time. And I've just got a little bit of time to do a video on what I would do if, hypothetically speaking, my weather magic went wrong. Now this is a question that I get coming through quite often in email correspondences I have with novice practitioners who are just starting out for the first time with Taoist weather magic, and they always ask the same thing. Lord Josh, what would you do if you accidentally killed someone with your weather magic? And I understand where they're coming from. I don't scold them, I don't make fun of them, I don't try to piss them off. I will do my utmost to answer the question as politely as I can, because I realize that if I am hostile to people asking questions, it's going to turn people away from the practice, and I don't want that to happen. So naturally, before I practice a ritual, I make sure that I select an auspicious date. And that means that I will go outside into my peach garden, you've probably seen the videos, and I will do what I call reading the heavenly omens within nature and within the stars. So I'll usually do a reading in the daytime, and I will go out and examine the leaves, I will examine the wildlife, I will take a look at the cloud formations, the thickness of rain, I will listen to certain sounds, and I'll try to pick up scents and smells within certain wind directions. And based upon the results I get from the daytime, I will categorize that into a yang divination, and then at night time I'll go out and do the same, but instead of looking at the terrestrial divination, I'll look up at the stars and do celestial divination. And I'll read the stars and look at the brightness to see if I can see any shooting stars or any comets. And based upon the information, the readings I get from both sides, I'll put them together, I'll do some work, and I will see and choose a very particular auspicious date to practice my ritual on. And that's one way where you know if the ritual is going to be a success or a failure. You pick a lucky date, so you get a lucky experience, therefore a good outcome. So right off the bat, right there, we already know it's an auspicious date. The chances of anything major happening that's negative are very slim. Let's just say, for example, I select the wrong date. These things happen to the best of us. I go outside and I'm doing my ritual, and all of a sudden I realize this is not an auspicious date, just hypothetically speaking, and all of a sudden a gigantic storm cloud comes in and I can't control it. There's also something in Taoist weather magic called elemental pacts or nature agreements. And what you do here is you will contact a particular nature guardian or a particular god or deity of a weather type that you are working with. So let's say, for example, if I want to summon thunder, I will communicate with the Lord of Thunder, Lei Gong, and I will say to him, days or weeks before the ritual is set to take place, I will make a pact with him and say, if the storm gets out of control and I can't tame it and I can't manage it, I give you full permission to take the power out of my hands, and you can then control the thunder. And this kind of method of having a contractual agreement between yourself and a nature deity or a weather god, you have to know the corresponding element and the deity that goes with it. So let's just say, for example, if you're like me, and you like to work with more than just one element at a time, let's say you're summoning wind and you're calling for thunder, you're going to want the Zhuge for wind and Lei Gong for the thunder, and you're going to want to make sure when you make your contract and your deal with them that you give them full permission. If something does get out of hand and you can't control it, they are allowed to then step in and take over your position as the master magician of that ritual. So let's just say, again, hypothetically, this fails. It's never failed on me yet, and I've been practicing since 2007. So I think if it was going to fail, it would have done so by now. But again, I'm just trying to give you these hypothetical scenarios if the worst case was to happen, which it hasn't yet to me. I've never had anything like this happen to me. So let's just say the deity doesn't honor its contract. For whatever reason, it turns against you and it refuses to then step in and take control. You're on your own, but that's okay because we still have precautions and we still have measures that we can take here to calm the situation down. If the ritual gets out of control, if the storm is too big, if you create something that's just too violent and extreme, don't worry, because there are still ways we can tame the storm. In this situation, if the deities didn't want to work with me, I would then look into my jade bowl of various stones and crystals, and I would take out a sunstone, and I would hold it up to the sky where I could see a giant storm cloud, and I would visualize the energies of the sunstone piercing through the cloud, creating a hole in the cloud and allowing sunshine to come through it, therefore heating up the atmosphere, therefore dispersing and destroying the storm. If that didn't work, then I would turn to another stone in my collection, a chrysocolla stone, and I would do the same method with that. If that didn't work, I would use a combination of the sunstone, the chrysocolla, and maybe I would try something like malachite to try to get rid of the storm. Another kind of stone that you could use for weather magic, which is very useful for getting rid of rain clouds and stopping severe winds, is using a holy stone. Not a holy stone, a holy stone, because there's a hole in the center of it. And what you would do here if you wanted to stop a storm is you would attach a string through the hole, tighten it up, take the stone, put it above your head and use it like a lasso and go like this across your head, and what that would do is it would disperse all of the clouds within the area within about 7 to 10 minutes. And that's a very good way also. I'll give you a bit of a tip here. If a weather magician is trying to attack you and trying to curse you by sending you a severe storm to your location, you can actually counteract the weather magician's spell simply by using the holy stone like a lasso around your head, and that will get rid of the actual storm. Whether it's been created by a sorcerer or whether it's a naturally occurring storm, it will definitely get rid of it. Now, nobody has ever tried to attack me with baneful weather magic, but if they did, I would absolutely use a holy stone and I would do the lasso technique to destroy the clouds. Also, I think that the stone is very useful. Like I said, if you're a weather magician and you're starting out and maybe you're feeling brave and you want to try something pretty adventurous and you want to summon a pretty severe storm, I would personally recommend that you always carry a holy stone in your pocket just in case that storm gets out of hand. You can quickly undo the spell that you've done. The reason why these stones work so well is because in Taoism the belief is that magic cannot work on running water. And obviously the hole in the stone was formed by years and years of water. Now we're getting into really crazy territory here. If all of that failed, again, this is crazy because I've never heard of anybody having such terrible luck with their rituals. But let's just say that fails. For whatever reason, it's failed and it's not working. Then I would turn to the incantations. I would turn to the words of power.
Heaven is pure whilst earth is calm. Heaven is pure whilst earth is calm. Heaven is pure whilst earth is calm. Heaven is pure whilst earth is calm.
Then I would say something like, turn this storm back into the sea, absorb it into every rock and tree, turn this storm away from me, quickly, quickly hear my plea. And I would continuously say that through repetition again and again and again. And if that one didn't work, I'd move on to a different incantation, and I continuously move on because there are dozens of different weather incantations out there, and you can create your own as well. I've created quite a few. It's basically just poetry, but it's magically charged poetry. If you believe it will work, it will work. But if that doesn't work, if the law of the words of power and the incantations fails, then we still have something that we can do here. We have the famous Taoist peachwood sword. You've all seen me holding this sword in various practical ritual videos. It's pretty much one of the benchmarks of Taoist weather magic. Pretty much every weather magician has it and uses it at some point. So if this storm is particularly nasty, it's a bastard, and it refuses to yield and it doesn't want to quit, then we can use what is known as the law of personification, which is one of the 6 laws of Taoist weather magic. And the magician, he finds it easier, he or she will find it easier to personify a particular weather type. So for me, I like to imagine thunderstorms as being petulant, immature children, and they're having tantrums. And in order for us to calm the storm, we have to calm the tantrum. So you could try to do this and soothe the storm. There's a technique known as soothing the storm, or you can go all out and try to destroy it with the peachwood sword. In the case of a very dangerous storm, I would recommend that you destroy it, because soothing the storm will take longer. So you get the sword, you hold it to the direction of the storm, and you cut into it. You continuously cut into it like this, and you've seen me doing it on the videos. And what this does is you cut it into halves, then into quarters, and gradually you destroy the storm with the sword, and eventually it disappears. If that didn't work, then you've got to run in the opposite direction, okay? But at that point, you've pretty much tried a lot of the things, and I've never heard of anything like this happening. But to answer the question that people do have, how would I feel if I accidentally hurt somebody with my weather magic, or worse yet, killed them? Obviously, I'd be devastated. Obviously, I'd be mortified. I would be so upset and just troubled by that, and it would destroy me. I don't want to hurt anybody with my weather magic, and I haven't in all the years I've been practicing. So it just shows you, yes, I'm quite cautious, but I also do live in an area where there's not too many people around, so I'm free to experiment with my magic. It's not like I live in some urbanized area where there's lots of people, which works obviously in my favor. And I think we must not let our paranoia get in the way of our results. If you're sitting there saying, what if this is going to happen, and what if this person gets hurt, and what if this happens, you're never ever going to put on your ritual robe, and you're never going to get to work, because you'll always find something. If you nitpick and you go through everything with a fine-tooth comb, you're always going to find something that disturbs you. I could do this, or I could accidentally do that. Eventually it comes to the point where you've just got to try it and see how you go. But there are many levels to weather magic. You don't have to just jump in head first and tame a really violent storm. You could work with one of the 3 benign winds. You could work with mist and fog, absorbing it into your body, using it for internal cultivation. There's plenty of different things you can do before you get to this level where I am. Summoning that severe thunderstorm, and you can hear it and you can see it and you can see the effects it has on the environment. That will come much later on in your journey if you decide to walk this path. So those are just some of the methods that I personally use in order to make my weather magic as safe as it possibly can be. And usually it always ends up being a very positive experience. So I want people to try this out. I don't want them to be intimidated by the possibilities of things going wrong, because it's like walking down the stairs. There's always that risk. You've been down the stairs and up the stairs a million times, but there's always that risk that one day you may fall down and break your leg. In the same way, there's that risk that you could cross the road one day and a car could run over you. So nobody should live their lives having fear over things like that, because most of the time it doesn't happen. And if you take precautions and you're smart and you know what to do, you'll be absolutely fine, trust me. So thank you for watching, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you soon.